Eman Pulis here with us at Focus Gaming News at SiGMA Europe 2023. First of all, I just want to say thanks for making the time. I know that you're super, super busy, but wow, how big is this year, actually, in terms of how many people are here, or how many stalls and stands?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Very humbling, but we get a lot of excitement by raising the bar year after year, right? People expect that from us, and they keep wondering, how are they going to pull it off next year? You know, so when we were at MFCC last year, everyone thought that this was it, right? They cannot possibly go elsewhere because the country is what it is.
Yeah.
Extremely limited infrastructure. So, you know, it's a challenge which I obviously took close to heart. And here we are today in a venue which no one thought was possible. It was a wreck of a venue, so we had to fix the roof, gut all the floor, you know, bring restrooms from Italy, bring ACs from abroad as well. And we've managed to fix the place up, fix it enough to host a conference. And I must say it worked beautifully. It's not the venue like Excel in London or the Rai in Amsterdam. You know, those venues are made for expos and they're extremely comfortable. This is not it. But people understand that with an infrastructure like the one in Malta come some limitations. And I think there's a lot of character to this show.
Well, you know, you touched on ICE, you touched on London, you touched on the other conferences. One thing that I've kept hearing over the past few days, Eman, is that this conference, this festival, and it's quite often I've heard it being termed as a festival, SiGMA at the end of the year here in Malta, SiGMA Europe is all about strengthening relationships that you've spent the whole year building.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've been working with you guys for a long time. It's the first time I've heard so many people saying that. They've been working on relationships all year. They come here to shake hands, hug, and build those relationships.
Correct.
Has it always been the intention of SiGMA here in Malta to do that?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it has also to do with my background organizing parties. Yeah, I remember the very first party I organized, I got goosebumps seeing just people celebrating, hugging, having fun. And I'm like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. You know, I got tired of doing parties and I started doing conferences, but I wanted to retain that element where people really connect on a personal level. So from that, the mantra, business is done between people and never between companies, shines bright not only within myself but also within the team at SiGMA. And whereas maybe in other conferences it feels weird to have a beer at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Who does that? It's weird not to at SiGMA. So people are socializing, they're having fun. And I think once we've mastered that, the business deals just flow afterwards.
Well, of course, and you know, having been at SiGMA, Dubai, and also in Manila as well, the tone, the atmosphere here is always been different. It's always been very, very unique.
Yes.
Let's talk about these other areas, these other territories and countries that you've been in, because SiGMA's gone from, as you said, your background is a party, for want of a better word, party organizer and event manager.
It is what it is. Yeah, no shame. It's where I come from.
So how did this all start? How did you say, okay, let's take this to the iGaming market and become the biggest event that there is here in Europe?
Yeah, look, as I told you, I was getting older in my mid-20s. And I'm like, this is too much for me, party scene. I didn't like it anymore. It didn't give me satisfaction. And I know why, because there's a word which helped me understand where I was in. This word is a beautiful word. It's called ikigai. Ikigai tells you one thing. You can find your ikigai if you do 4 things exceptionally well. If you're good at doing something, if you love doing it, if it pays you well, and if it's great for society. And doing parties, I was really good at it, right? And I loved doing it, but it didn't pay me as much as I wanted. and it was fucking up the whole network, right? People come, they get drunk, some doing drugs. This is not what I wanted to be involved with. So by elevating to conferences, I felt I was still good at doing events. The love was instant. It pays me exceptionally well, I must say. And it's great for the country, right? Restaurateurs, hotels, taxis, carpenters, from the prime minister down to the unskilled labor. They're all extremely happy about SiGMA. They rally behind the show. They're all excited to take part in it. I know people who take days off from work just so they can work at SiGMA and be part of the experience. And I think I have found my ikigai now.
And of course, this is a word that I've heard synonymous with SiGMA for as long as I've known you. Now, coming on to, I mentioned before, Dubai, Manila, LATAM, America, there just seems to be no limit to where SiGMA is going. How is that been possible to grow into other countries and territories as well? How is it the same philosophy, bearing in mind that there are large cultural differences between all of those markets?
Yeah, think global but act local. This is something we believe in vociferously. So we have an office in Brazil, so it's locals running the show. We have an office in Manila, and we have a strong team of Taiwanese people, there's Japanese, Filipinos. Let's not forget, it's a market of 4.5 billion people. So very representative office we have in Manila. We have an office in Malta and Cyprus to cater for the internationalization of the offices. And we have an office in Belgrade that handles SEO. Yes, cultural differences, there's a lot. But ultimately, people are people, right? They all want to connect. They all want to become friends. And the recipe has worked. It has worked everywhere.
Can I ask you something? When you switched into doing these events, when you said, okay, enough of the party scene, let's concentrate on conferences, let's concentrate on festivals, let's make this happen, could you ever have envisaged sitting here with the biggest event in Malta and seeing this happen across the world? Did you know that was going to happen?
I think deep down, I knew there was greatness awaiting, right, in terms of entrepreneurship. I sacrificed my 20s. In my 20s, I was that broke, and I would never get a job because I knew that the minute I got that job, I would become addicted to the paycheck. So whereas my friends in their 20s were all living a great life, they could have girlfriends, take them out for lunch and dinner and do this and that. I was broke, just pursuing my dream, but I was happy. So I knew I sacrificed so much, and I knew that something great will eventually come out of all of that. So without sounding arrogant, I knew there was something great awaiting. And after the first successful SiGMA, I knew there was an opportunity for this to become something. Yeah.
And what's the secret? What is the secret of that success? I mean, that's a big sacrifice to make.
Yeah, great question. And I see it a lot around me, yes. People have a lot of motivation to start, let's do it. But they don't have the consistency to get the job done, right? They either burn out, they lose motivation after months or a couple of years. You need to stay on it, sacrifice everything, because the finish line is extremely rewarding.
And that's a good mantra for every single business and every single business person everywhere.
Yeah.
My last question, Eman, this is massive, huge. Where do you go from here?
We want to grow all our shows, not just Malta. I think people accept the fact that the infrastructure is what it is. And I think the majority of people are happy that we retain the show in Malta despite the challenges. The country was in gridlock on day one, and some people obviously were upset, but it's mostly people who didn't come to SiGMA. right? And I understand, you know, the
Yeah.
locals out there don't give a hoot about conference, and rightly so. They spent an hour in traffic, they're upset. But I don't think that's going to stop us from keeping the show here. Everyone's happy. I receive amazing feedback from hoteliers, from taxis who just text me out of the blue, say, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is our best month. You know, we used to call November a November month, a shoulder month in Malta because
Yeah,
of the low tourist season. It's now, quite frankly, I think it's one of the best months for the industry, for Malta, for the country. So do I take that away from the country? I don't think so.
No.
No.
No, no, no.
No, no, no. I'm happy to keep it here. Malta made me who I am today. The gaming sector made me who I am today. And I can never do it to the country.
Wishing you all the very, very best for the coming year. Single last question. Highlight of 2023? This?
Oof. Successfully moving on to a bigger venue, giving this wow factor was definitely one of them. Out of the blues, having the #1 conference in Asia is another wow factor. People didn't expect that. They came in thinking it's gonna be this, they see that.
Yeah.
Whoa. So that was another wow factor. And wow factor number 3, so 3. You asked for 1, I gave you 3. Wow factor number 3 is Brazil. Again, people expected to see a little event, and there was this massive conference waiting. I think we were extremely lucky, but luck favors the brave, right? So we were extremely lucky in timing-wise. There was nothing in Brazil. There were small events in Latin America, and we went all in. But because of huge demand for the Latin market, we're taking pole position now.
We are all rooting for SiGMA. We're
Thank
all
you.
shouting out for
Thank you,
SiGMA,
thank you.
cheering
Thank
SiGMA on, and for you as well. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Of course, pleasure.